Hello, my juicy peaches, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Priestess Peaches, aka Jackie Lane from yourpeachylife.com. I mainly support ambitious women in long-term relationships with love, pleasure, well-being, and business. And in today's video, I am going to be speaking to you if you are an emotional authority, pure generator in human design, and you are an entrepreneur and you're in business. So I'm going to be splitting this video into 5 parts. The first part, I'm going to be painting a little picture for you, and you can let me know in the comments if it resonates with you or if not, or how it shows up for you. Then I'm going to be speaking about some general information about pure generators. And I'm then moving into speaking about responding and what that actually means and what that actually looks like. Then I'm going to be going into your decision-making process as an emotional authority pure generator. I'm then going to be speaking about what to do when you feel like you don't have the desire to do something, but you know you need to do the thing. So, okay, let me paint a picture and you let me know in the comments if this resonates. You look around and you see all these other amazing, successful female entrepreneurs with seemingly infinite amounts of energy and capacity, showing up all the live long day and being super duper consistent. And it seems like everything they touch turns to gold. It seems like they are able to push on through and just keep on going with endless energy. They never get bored. They don't seem to need any variety. And it seems like they are thriving in the hustle. And they never seem to burn out. Yet you keep experiencing difficulty with that dreaded word consistency, and you struggle to follow through with things, and you keep experiencing feast or famine or highs and lulls with things, and it's like you feel so inspired about something, but then it never fully comes into fruition and never fully succeeds in the way that you hoped it would, or the energy just isn't there for it and it doesn't carry you through and sustain you till the end of your project. You launch things that you feel so excited about, yet they just don't seem to pan out in the ways that you wanted them to, or the ways that you thought they would, because you had all this energy for it and it doesn't seem to be working. Maybe it flops completely, and you're left feeling frustrated and impatient, and like you have to work twice as hard as everybody else to get where you want to be. And what you long for is to experience flow state. You long to be in flow. You long to feel the ease with your creations. You long for things to feel easier. You want things to come into fruition fully in the ways that you desired. You want things to work out. You want to feel lit up and aligned and juicy, and you want to feel that peace and that calm, and like your nervous system isn't yo-yoing all the time. You want to feel satisfied in the work you're doing, but also satisfied with the response you're getting from that work. You want to enjoy your journey and to receive your desires in your business, but without burning out and without feeling turned off or icky or this sense of obligation and pressure. So let me know in the comments if that resonates with you, or if you're seeing any patterns like that playing out in your business behind the scenes, if you're struggling and grappling with these things behind the scenes, or let me know in the comments how it's showing up for you, like what is coming up for you in your business if you are an emotional authority pure generator. So now I'm going to get into the information about pure generators, because emotional authority pure generators do not function quite like the other pure generators or manifesting generators. We don't operate in the same way as the other types either. We flow a little bit differently. So just FYI, all those things I said before about women just smashing it in business and all of that, either they have done the work behind the scenes and they are in flow state, or there is a hot mess going on behind the scenes. Both these things, whether a woman is already functioning in her design, or whether she is, whether there's a lot going on behind the scenes that needs rectifying. Both these things require consistent work and energy and effort. Obviously, it gets easier and easier once you get to know your design and get to know your flow. It gets a lot easier as time goes on, because you'll start to recognize certain patterns and you'll be able to navigate it like a pro. We want to feel energized. We want to feel nourished by our business. We want to enjoy the journey, and we want to receive our desires in a way that actually feels good, not in the way of pushing, forcing, and burning out. That's not what we want. And for us, we simply cannot push through, like we cannot push and force things, because the energy just won't be there. The energy won't be there for that thing to succeed if we are pushing and forcing and acting from a space of obligation and acting from a space of shoulds or supposed tos. These things are going to completely take you out of flow, and the energy won't be there for you to actually fully receive your desires, fully receive the things that you're calling in. So emotional authority generators are very deep beings. We're very deep thinking and feeling beings, and there's a depth to us, and we require the feeling of satisfaction. We require reciprocation. We require pleasure. We require joy in what we're doing, and we require meaning. So there's a depth to us, and what we really require is to wait for flow. But that term waiting, I actually don't really like that term, because that's not really what you're doing when you're waiting to respond, or waiting for flow, or waiting for the energy. Even though you are waiting, it's not passive, because you'll be getting on with other things. And so yeah, that term waiting can confuse people, and it causes you to feel like you're not getting anywhere when you're just waiting. But actually waiting to respond and waiting for flow and waiting for the energy is super duper key. So waiting is actually about like sustaining your flow. Waiting is about relaxing into flow, and waiting is about trusting in your timeline and trusting in your flow. And it all feels very counterintuitive when the advice you're given and many other people out there are operating in a completely different paradigm. This can feel so counterintuitive when you've been taught something like the complete opposite of this. But trust me, when you master this, when you master your flow, when you master your emotional authority, your decision-making process, just those things will transform the way you feel in your business. I'm not saying this is going to be easy peasy, because it takes quite a lot of shifting and like unprogramming, reprogramming, and yeah, like unprogramming. I can't think of the word. Deprogramming from what you've been taught. Sorry.
Sometimes I can't English. Okay.
Emotional authority pure generators. We are considered the workers and the builders, and we like generate energy. But we can only work, we can only build, we can only generate when the energy is there and when the desire is there. Otherwise, we very easily, very quickly burn out. We very quickly turn off. We very quickly shut down. When you allow the time and space you require for the energy to come in, that's when you become this empress, and you can build your empire from that space. So when it comes to your work in the world and your business, it's actually best not to reinvent the wheel and try and come up with something original. It's actually better for pure generators to work with something that already exists, but in your own way. To work with something that already exists, but you can create that in your own way. And that may be through your own experience, that may be working with other people. I'm trial and error profile, so I'm 3-5 profile, so I'm very much trial and error, and I can find my own way through the trial and error and the doingness of the things as well, which can be quite confusing, being a generator, having the sacral response and needing to wait for the waves, because I have this like desire in me to trial and error things. So yeah, working with something that already exists, but in your own way, and that really does require a trust in yourself and in your way and in your response to what already exists. So you're always responding, and I'll be going into responding in a minute. One other thing about pure generators, especially emotional authority pure generators, is that we do require reciprocation and feedback. We need feedback to respond to and to trigger us into our waves. And without that feedback and that reciprocation or input, external input, we won't be triggered into our waves, which we really do need to go through the waves. Like, the waves that we experience are so valuable. They're so valuable for us, and they are the thing that lead us to clarity. They are the thing that lead us to success. They are the thing that lead us to feeling the best we can feel around the thing that we're doing or creating or saying yes to or attracting or whatever it is. It's the waves that allow us to come into that true alignment with something. And so, yes, we need feedback, we need input, we need reciprocation, we need reward in order to respond, in order to feel the energy to keep going, and in order for us to keep having that something to respond to and something to trigger our waves. And it's really important to be connected with your values in whatever it is you're doing, and doing what you love and what satisfies you. And when you're connected with your values, like your deeper values around it, it will satisfy you so much more and you will love it so much more. And so it's really important to stay connected to your values with whatever you're doing. And being a generator, a pure generator, like the law of attraction can really work well for us, because we are attracting and pulling life to us, and we are also being pulled towards it. But it's not a push, it's not a doing, it's not a go-getting. It is an attracting and a magnetism and an alignment. And it's like a pull towards something, or something being pulled towards you. And that's the difference between how it can feel when you're trying to make something happen. We don't need to do that. And this is why empowered feminine energy type of business works really well for generators and emotional authority generators, and even manifesting generators as well, because it's the same across the board. It's this attraction, like, although it's a co-creation, there's a lot more of that magnetism energy, that pulling energy, rather than a go-getting, making it happen, forward-moving energy. It's much more magnetic than that. And so that's why the things I teach about empowered feminine business really bode well for generators. Okay, so let's get into responding. There's so much confusion around responding, and I just want to share with you what I know about responding and from my experience as well. So you are naturally always, and you want to be always, responding to your environment and responding to the external rather than just the internal. So if there's something, an idea, an internal thing, you want to put that out to the external to receive some kind of feedback from that, to then respond again. Okay, so it's not that you can't work with your own ideas or intuition or things that come to you internally. It's about then putting that externally to get the input to then respond again. So that's the trick. And you want to, it's easier to respond to the external for you than it is the internal. It will feel more confusing and clunky and difficult to, and you'll struggle to fully trust when it's something just internal that you're responding to. You want to put it out there. So this could be like speaking to a friend about it, putting a post on social media, talking about an idea, see what the response is, then you can respond from there. And this is how you are triggered into your waves and how you gather clarity. No, how you gather perspective so that you can get clarity. So yeah, you want to be responding to other people's content, other people's opinions, other people's input, other people's advice, other people's like journeys, life stories, other people's questions, invitations, other people's desires even. You're literally responding to everything external to you and your environment as well. So your literal environment, what's going on in your environment, like sensually, via your senses, how you're feeling about your environment, what's going on in the world around you. That's what you really respond well to, is the external. So anything you see, anything you hear, anything you experience. And I'm just reading my notes as well, by the way, as I'm going through this so I don't miss anything, but you can also you can also ask for signs and synchronicities and guidance, and respond to signs, respond to intuitive hits, in knowings. You can respond to signs and synchronicities that come from higher powers, because this is also, even though it's part of you, everything's part of you, it's also external to you in that sense. And so you can ask for signs and respond to them, or you might just, as we do, get signs and synchronicities in life that we can then respond to. The trick is, and the key is, to not act on your initial response. So here's where we differ as emotional authority pure generators, because generators that aren't emotional authority can tend to just act on that initial sacral response, okay? But we need to wait to respond some more. So let me just back up a little bit. So your initial response will come to you through a yes or a no. It will feel like a yes or a no, and that may have a sound to it. It may be like a uh-huh, or it may be a or a ugh kind of thing. You may have physical sensations. You may feel it in your like sacral chakra, your lower abdomen, your womb space. You may feel like a expansion or a contraction in your body as well. You may close up or feel expansive. You will have a kind of knowing through sensation and sounds and feelings of a yes or a no. And it's like that's your initial response, yes or no. That's what will come up. And when that happens, you want to wait. You want to wait to respond. You want to sit with it. You want to sleep on it. And I'm going to go into that in the decision-making process piece in a minute. So you also want to come into your own energy after you have put out, you have seeked the feedback and the input for you to respond to. Once you've received the feedback and the input, you then naturally need to shut away from the external, and you need to go and feel into your body. And also this is where you might be triggered into your wave process, which is your decision-making process. So like I said, I'm going to speak about that in a sec. So yeah, you want to come into your own energy after that initial sacral response, let go of all of other people's energies, all of other people's input, and listen to your responses, and always sleep on it. Then you can ask for signs. If you've not been triggered into your wave, you can ask for signs. You can then speak about this thing some more if you want to put it out there, and then get feedback again to respond some more if you're still not clear. And you want to ask for signs that you can respond to, synchronicities, things that feel like a sign and nudges from the universe, so that everything feels like a co-creation. You're co-creating with everything, everyone, and the universe. That is what it feels like. It's a co-creation. So it's like you're not doing it all alone. And it can be really hard when you're somebody that is quite self-assured, or like set on a specific desire or set on a goal. It's sometimes difficult to come into that space of co-creation with others, co-creation with the universe, because it's like you can easily come into this space of like wanting to control it. But if you can lean back and let go and surrender and allow yourself to co-create, you'll gather the perspective, the full perspective that you require in order to make the most successful decisions that are going to allow you to have the full energy and capacity for the thing it is you want. It will feel like you are then being carried by flow. It will feel like a pull, a pulling, a magnetism, a pulling towards and a magnetizing to you, rather than trying to make something happen, rather than trying to go and get, and rather than trying to control it all. The flow and the energy will carry you, and the magnetism will carry you. And that can be tricky to master initially, because we're taught so many different things to that. We're taught, like, if you want something, you got to go and get it. If you have to work really, really hard. You can't just sit around and wait. We're taught the opposite. Like, you have to be doing, producing. And so it's hard to unwire and rewire and repattern your brain. But once you get into the swing of it, you'll realize that when you gift yourself that time, trust in your timeline, you bend time, you create time. Literally, time will work for you. Trust me, it's crazy how it happens. So yes, you want to slow your processes down. So this is, if there's one thing you take away from this as a pure generator, emotional authority generator, is to just slow down, slow your processes down, slow your decision making down, slow acting on things down, just slow down so you can listen to your body, so you can listen to your responses, so you can allow yourself to go through your waves and really honor your process. Getting into the decision making process as an emotional authority pure generator. This is really juicy, and I feel like I'm really in flow at the moment with this. But there is nuance to it, and there's obviously, you've got your whole chart, which is different to mine. But generally, this is general information for emotional authority pure generators. So your decision-making process is all about responding, like I said, and waiting to respond and allowing your emotional waves. It's very scary when you go into your emotional waves, okay? Because you can go into lulls and it feels very negative and very challenging and like painful and difficult and just all the things that you don't want to be feeling. But it's in the thick of the waves, the thick of the lull, that you are going to gather all the perspective that you require in order to make the best decision. So don't brush over your waves. Don't try and suppress them. Don't try and push on through. You need to allow your waves. And like I said, getting out of other people's energy once you are responding and going into your waves, get out of other people's energy. Only you know when you're in that space, you are gathering information and gathering insight.
Rather than, so it's probably common for you to, so if somebody invites you,
So if somebody asks you to do something, or somebody, like let's say there's somebody who wants to joint venture with you and they're like, oh, I've got this really good idea, do you want to be part of it? You might find that your initial sacral response is a yes, and you will go into this high of your wave, whoosh, and you'll be like, yeah, this sounds amazing, this is brilliant. If you feel that heightened excitement, that is when you 100% need to wait, to sit with it, to sleep on it, and to wait for your waves to pan out completely before you actually say yes to that thing. And it's not that you will end up necessarily saying no to that thing, but you have to go through this cycle and this pattern of your wave to gather all the information and insight and perspective you need, so that when you do say yes to it, the energy will be there. Because if you say yes before you're ready, what I notice with me is if I say yes when I haven't allowed for that process, I will be so excited, and then the energy will just dissipate, or it just won't work out, and it will be so frustrating because I'm like, but I really wanted to do this thing. Why isn't it working? Why is this not coming into fruition? How come everybody else seems to be able to do it? And it will either that, like, it's not necessarily just your own energy for the thing, it's the energy of the thing. It will dissipate, and it won't necessarily work out if you jump in before you've allowed this process to take place. So it may be when you get to the end of the process, sometimes what happens is you will feel the high of your emotional wave and you won't be tuning into your genuine sacral response. So when you allow for the wave, at the end of the waves, you will then feel back in, and you might actually feel a no. Actually, that's a no. But you might feel a yes still. And when you're in that more neutral space, the sacral yes feels very grounded. It's like a foundational, grounded, almost calm yes in you. It's the waves, it's the high of the wave that causes this overexcitement. When you're feeling like overly excited about something, so counterintuitive, because you think, oh my God, I got all this energy, I've got to ride that wave of this energy. No, don't ride the wave of that energy, because you will come into a lull. You haven't waited for your lull, your highs, your lulls. And so if you jump in before you've allowed for that, you will come into the lull throughout the process of doing the thing. And that is why the energy disappears. The energy for the thing disappears, or the thing doesn't work out. The energy behind that thing, or your energy will suddenly just disappear for it, and you'll feel like, oh, what have I got myself into? Oh, this isn't working. And then your like not self theme of frustration and impatience will come in. And the worst thing you can do is push on through. Trust me, the best thing you can do is wait. Wait.
Oh my God, this is so long.
Here's an analogy that has really helped me when it comes to my emotional waves and that process. I can't remember for the life of me where I got this information from, but thank you, whoever this was. Basically, other people will take a photo of a flower, and they'll look at that photo and they have all the information they need, all the insight, all the perspective they need to understand that flower and to decide something about the flower. Whereas as an emotional authority generator, we need to take a photo of that flower in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the spring, in the summer, in the autumn, in the winter, when it was a seed, when it was a sapling, when it was a bud, when it was a flower, when it's dying. We have to take snapshots of that flower in all the conditions. So this means through the highs and the lulls of your wave. And by doing that, we are understanding the full perspective. We're gathering insight around whatever the thing is. And we need that insight to make the right decision, and the decision that's going to be most successful, and the decision that will have the energy there. So only once you've gathered the full perspective of that flower will you fully have the clarity and the understanding to move into movement with that thing, to take action, to make a decision, to move with that thing. Without that, if you jump in too soon, you don't have a full awareness, you don't have the full insight that you need, and the energy will not sustain. The energy will not sustain. The energy can only sustain once you have the full perspective. So when you're in the lulls and you're feeling like poop and it's really difficult, just remember, I'm gathering insight, because all the self-doubt will come up, all the negative thoughts and emotions, all the uncertainty, all the fears will come up when you're in the lull of your wave, and that's good. We want that. We want to know, what are your deepest fears around this thing? What are the self-doubts? What's the uncertainty? What's the negativity around this? What's all the things that could go wrong? What's all the not good enough feelings? What is all of that? So that when you start coming back into your neutral space, you have this full perspective and you can work through those things. Once you're in out of your lull, you can come back to, I always write down all those thoughts and feelings of the lull, because then when I've come out the lull, I can work through those things really easily, and it gives me this full insight and full perspective. And then I know I have this like, come back to my sacral, grounded yes, and then the energy is supporting me and the flow can happen and sustain me. Okay, so yeah, no jumping in and acting on the high, and no acting on the lull. Don't make decisions in the lull. Do not act on the lull, because it's not the full truth. It's not the truth. And I just want to say, I've been doing some work with an amazing coach called Laura Lucas, and she has a process called Fears to Flow, and it's really helped with my self-sabotage, because there are truths in the lull. There's things not necessarily truths, but there's things in the lull that you may need to work on to come into your neutral space. And having processes like Fears to Flow and having processes to help you through your sabotage can really help when you've come out the lull, you can work with those things. And really those things, like according to how I see the world, is like the wounded feminine, the deep work of the wounded feminine, so that you can come into your empowered feminine space with things. You want to wait for a kind of grounded, neutral feeling, and that sacral response again. Make sure that that is still there once you've been through your waves, or else you can be very flaky. You'll come across as flaky to others. You'll be flaky, and you may experience feast or famine in your business, like client-wise, customer-wise, money-wise, and energy-wise in your business. And you might experience highs and then regrets, or highs and lulls within the thing that you're doing. And it's not like a sustaining energy, and it causes you just to feel really depleted. And you could also experience energy burnout if you don't allow for this process. So another thing about emotional authority pure generators is that it is common for us not to feel 100% certain about anything. And so a 70% certainty is enough for us. So if you're like 70% yes, then that is enough to move and take action and respond to. And it's like whatever is most sure. So if you're not clear, if it's a no, okay, how do I put this? If the no outweighs the uncertainty, like sometimes the uncertainty means that it's a no, but sometimes if it's like the uncertainty outweighs a no, then you can still move with that thing. So if you feel into the, is this a yes or a no? And you're like, oh, I'm not sure, it could be a no. If you feel into, is it a no or am I just not sure? If the not sure is stronger, you can move with that. And for me, that's great because I have the trial and error profile, but I don't know what your profile is. But all I know is that you can move when there is a level of uncertainty as an emotional authority generator. And it's through that movement that you then get to respond some more. And also, like I said before, you can ask for signs to respond to around the thing. You can surrender and ask for signs, and they always come. They always come. The answers always come. So wait for the answers. Wait for the answers before you respond. One of the things that I have come to realize is that when the energy is there for something and the desire is there for something, you don't need to figure it out. You don't need to try and analyze it. You don't need to come into your thinking space. You don't even need to strategize it in a thinking kind of way, because it may make no sense. You need to let go of the why kind of thing. You need to let go of trying to make sense of it, trying to rationalize it. It is there because it's there, and you can trust it. You can trust if the energy is there for something, the desire is there for something. It may not make any sense right now, but if you say yes to that and respond to it and the flow carries you, you can trust that that is in your greatest good, that is going to magnetize what it is that you want towards you, and you towards it. It is in your greatest good to move with that, and try not to rationalize it, try not to logic it, try not to think too much about it. And this isn't the same as not having an awareness of your bigger, deeper whys and your values and things like that in your business. I'm talking like moment-to-moment decisions around things, and responding to things. Sometimes the energy is just there for it. For instance, I keep creating really long form videos. Everything I was told is like, oh, shorts are the best thing right now. But for some reason, I've just got this energy, capacity, desire to create these longer form videos. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it's a yes. It's like a yes. And when I feel into other things, it's a no. And so I'm just trusting that for whatever reason, this is what is coming through and this is where the energy is. It may not make sense right now, but it will in the future. And I just have to surrender to that. Like I said before, always take out the shoulds and supposed tos. And this is a great example of that. I was thinking, oh, I should do YouTube Shorts. I should be on TikTok. I should be on Instagram. I shouldn't be creating these long form videos that no one's going to want to watch. And as soon as I surrendered that and let that go and just trusted in my desire and trusted in the energy and the flow that's here, it feels great. Like, this feels amazing. Creating this for you feels so good. And I've worked on my sabotage around it, and the things that come up in the lulls and like the negativity. And I've not acted on the highs. I've sat with it, and I've let it incubate in me. I always say let it incubate in your womb. And that's, for me, that is to do with my sacral response. And then I let, as an emotional authority generator, I let that response incubate in my womb as I'm gathering perspective. So you will need to get familiar with your sacral response and what that feels like to you, because it can be different for different people. That sacral response, that physical sensation, that sensual sensation, that grounded knowing, and what sounds or maybe visuals that come to you when that response kicks in. You may experience like a visualization of a light. You may experience a sensation of this like grounding feeling.
You may find yourself going, or aha, or like, no.
You may even find yourself saying out loud like, or aha, or making a little noise. Or when it's not something you want, you may find that you're like, or like, You might say these things, these sounds might come out of you, or they might be in your mind, like saying it to yourself in your mind. So get used to what your sacral response is and really discover that, so that you can hear it and listen to it and feel it. And then, like I say, wait for the energy to be there, wait for the answers to come, wait for the desires, wait for your emotional waves. Gather the perspective and the insight that you need, sit with it, sleep on it, put it external, and then respond from there. And then respond, and then wait to respond some more. And there'll come a point where it's just a juicy feeling of flow. When you're in that flow state, it is just incredible. It is just, you're not hustling, yet you've got this untold amount of energy for doing the thing. And it feels really nourishing. And it's like you're out of this like high of this like overexcitement, but you're still feeling really positive about it. You still got this energy for it and you're still excited for it, but there's this grounded truth in it. There's this grounded, peaceful, calm, like your nervous system isn't going doing, 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 doing the whole time. It just feels like, kind of feeling. When you feel like you have to do something that you don't particularly have the desire or the energy for doing, okay? When you know you have to do something, because this is life. Come on, let's get real. We can't just always do everything we just want to do. There's going to be times where we've got appointments, we've got other people relying on us, we've got desires that require certain steps in order to receive the desire, like actual legitimate things here, that sometimes you'll be required to do things you don't have the energy and desire for, and that will come up. Or you may not have that energy or desire initially, is what I'm going to say. The truth is, you cannot talk yourself into wanting to do the thing, and you cannot pretend that the energy is there when it's not. But there are certain things you can do that can actually cause genuine, organic desire to start bubbling up and energy to start supporting you. And this is just in my opinion, and this may be due to other things in my chart, but I feel it's to do with being an emotional authority pure generator. So I'm going to touch on it here, but do check your chart and other things in your chart, because it may be different for you and your process to this may look a bit different from what I'm going to share right now. But for me, when I feel into the desire, the thing that I know I need to do, there is a desire in me that I want that thing to be done. So that's the truth. There is a desire. I want that thing to be done. Now, obviously, there's the whole delegate it, put it out there externally, wait for input, and then respond from there. So you can do that around this thing. And it may be that someone shows up that can help you. It may be that you can delegate it, or that some way unfolds through you putting it out externally and then responding from there. But if not, if it's something that you've decided you're going to do, then you can feel into aspects of that desire that feel positive and that feel satisfying and that feel joyful. And you can imagine the outcome of that desire and how you'll feel once it's done, and the satisfaction. And those feelings of positivity, satisfaction, and joy around aspects of the desire can actually support you to start feeling a yes to the desire, like feeling a sacral yes. It can actually bubble up in you. Desire and energy can actually bubble up in you. This is what I have found. You can also, and I said this on my last video, you can drop into a space of acceptance. I'm going to do this thing. I'm not delegating it. I'm not doing anything else with it. I know I'm going to do this thing. There's actually part of you that does want to do it, because if you know you're going to do it, there's part of you that wants to do it. And there's reasons why you're doing it and you're not delegating it, or you haven't put it out there or whatever. There's reasons that are beneficial for you to do this thing that you may not see right now. So there is a desire in you to do the thing, even if it feels like you haven't got the energy for it yet. So you can drop into the acceptance of, I am going to do this thing, and you can surrender to that. You can ask for guidance. You can put it out there externally to respond to gather insight. You can go through your waves with it, just the same process as before. And something magical really does start to happen, because this true, organic, genuine desire will start to come in. You'll feel your sacral like really aligning with that. And also, like, when you want to honor your word with something, when you want to stay devoted to something, that desire can be so strong that it overrides the lack of desire to, like, oh, I don't wanna, you know, that kind of space. The desire for that honoring of your word and your devotion will come into the thing. That desire will actually infuse into this thing that you're not particularly feeling the energy for, and start to, like, the energy starts to bubble up and starts to flow in from that space when you have this acceptance and surrender of the thing, that you're going to do the thing. This is what I found, that the flow and the desire can actually bubble up in you, and it can genuinely come into play. And so the other piece is, when there's something that you're not feeling that much energy for, that much desire for, once you've gone through this process of letting it bubble up, then you can create it in a way that feels enjoyable to you. Like, I like to have rituals, ceremony. I like to create things in a way that is magical and enjoyable and fun. So you can feel into what those things are, and then there's a desire to experience that will also infuse into this as well. And that genuine desire and genuine energy can naturally come in and start to flow once your decisions have been made. And once that acceptance has landed in you. And I think if you can align your life and your business like 80% with your design, you are going to be feeling so good. Like 80% aligned in your design is more than enough to be experiencing flow state. So I just want to share with you a couple of things. Obviously, you need to figure out what your wave type is, because you will have a wave type, and that's important to understand. Also, understanding your manifesting type. I'm a specific manifestor, but you might not be. You might be like a general manifestor. No, I don't mean manifestor as in not a generator, but manifesting type. And your profile, like I've mentioned a few times, I have a 3-5 profile. So mine is trial and error. And there's obviously lots of other things in your charts that are going to affect everything, like your whole chart will affect everything. But these things are really key. And I feel like these are like foundational pieces that can really support you in your business. And then things to ask and say, like helpful sentences that can really help you, are, if somebody asks you if you want to do something, or if you want to be part of something, if you say, this feels really good right now, I need to just sit with it. I need to just sleep on that and I'll get back to you. Or, okay, yeah, I just need to have a feel into this and I'll get back to you tomorrow. Or let me sit with this for a while and then I'll get back to you. Oh my goodness, when you start saying that sentence, life starts flowing so much better. You don't have to say an answer straight away. You don't have to have a definite decision straight away just because somebody's asked you something. You can wait. And you can let them know that you're going to sit with it. And the other thing is that's been really helping me is, if you ask yourself, what do I feel like? and tune into your body. But then to clarify it, ask yourself this or that questions. Is it this or that? And that is so much better for emotional authority pure generators than an open-ended question. Like, what do I feel like? Is it this or that? And you can feel into that with anything, any decision, anything that you're wanting to attract, anything that you are manifesting, anything you're creating, co-creating. When you tune into what do I feel like, tuning into your body, is it this or that, to gather clarity so that you can feel your sacral response, and then that may trigger your emotional waves, or you may need to put it out externally, and then that will trigger you into your waves. Okay, thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. If you're still here, please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know that you have watched through to the end. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments or share your journey in the comments. I love to read your comments and it gives me something to respond to so that I can create more content for you. Obviously, if you feel called to, please do subscribe to my channel. YouTube have demonetized my channel because I was inactive for so long, so it really does help me if you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you feel like it will support anybody that you know that is an emotional authority pure generator. And yeah, I'm gonna go now, so have an amazing day and remember to keep it juicy. Bye.